You're raving, you're raving, you're raving with RWR. Fabulous songwriters from Belgium and beyond, the lowlands, the highlands, and far across the pond. On Instagram and Facebook too, you can follow, like, and share. Please hit subscribe and join the tribe from the comfort of your chair. You're raving, you're raving, you're raving with RWR. Hello everybody, welcome to episode 91 of Raving with RWR here on my YouTube channel, Songs from the RWR Room. Showcasing singer-songwriters from Belgium and beyond. And it's very nice to have you all here with us. I can edit out all that messing at the beginning. You saw me waving my arms, talking to myself, but that's how it goes sometimes. Yes, that does happen. If it is your first time to the show or to the channel, will you please hit that subscribe button down there for us below, folks, and give the video a thumbs up. That helps the channel greatly. And if you're feeling generous, of course, share this out among your friends tonight or at a later time on your social media. It helps the songwriter, it helps the channel to get known. G-Sharp Guitars, the world's finest travel electric guitars there out of Kansas in America. Norwegian invented travel electric guitars. There's a couple there on the wall behind me. The world's biggest little electric guitars. Check them out in the links below as well, folks, if you would be so kind. If you are watching, it'd be great to drop us a comment, and great to see you all. Katja van der Porten is there. Lovely, Katja. Good to see you. We had a great little walk yesterday, a little 20k walk yesterday. Yeah, and Stephen is there. Mr. Good Mojo is down there. If you have questions or comments and want to say hello, please do. There's Chris from Germany. Yeah, the sound is back, Chris, I believe. So thank you for the heads up there on that. Sometimes it catches me out. Sometimes it catches me out. That's how it is over there. I'm looking at banners here and comments coming in galore. Lovely to see you all. So without further ado, folks, we're going to go over to Portland, Oregon. And if the internet allows, we should be able to speak with the wonderful Kathryn Claire. Hello.
Hello.
I thought you had no sound either for a second. I was like, oh no, please.
I was messaging you in our private chat, like, I can't hear you.
There's no sound. Yeah, but it's okay. It's the power of the internet. I can chop out all the messing. And sometimes it catches me out. You're very welcome, Kathryn. It's great to see you virtually anyway. It's been too long since we saw each other in real life. But how have you been and how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing well, thank you. Yes, and it's so nice to get to see you again, and I love seeing some of these comments coming in and getting to be connected to all of my friends on the other side of the world.
Yeah, and you have a few. You're no stranger to the European touring scene, of course. Apart from America, you've done so much great work over this side of the pond, and we'll talk about that as the stream goes. Rumor has it that you got married recently. Is that?
It's true. I did. I got married in May, and
congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, we had a wonderful little wedding, and then we had a second wedding, and then we had another little party. We just kind of kept it going all summer. So
what you're saying is that there's no hope for you and I. Is that where we're at?
I didn't know how else to tell you.
Heartbroken. All right, folks, that was the show. Thank you all very much for joining us. Okay, well, let that slide for now. So we'll talk about that privately after we do the serious business. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Well, no, on a serious note, congratulations. That's he's a lucky man. And is he a musician as well, or not?
Yeah, he is. He's a very musical soul, and so
wow, that's lovely.
Yeah, it's lovely.
That's really lovely.
Yeah,
that's really lovely. Where did it begin for you musically? You were born in Portland, Oregon, or elsewhere, Kathryn, or where did the music come from?
Yeah, I was born in Eugene, Oregon, which is just a couple hours from Portland.
Yeah.
And I grew up in a really musical family. My parents, we just sang a lot. My mom was a music teacher when I was younger, played the piano. My grandfather, who was Dutch, played the violin, and that's how I got into playing the violin. And yeah, for me, music was just kind of like, it was always around, but there were a lot of different things that I did growing up. I was an athlete and was really into theater, and I loved school. And so it wasn't like when I was very young, I didn't grow up thinking like, and when I grow up, I'm going to be a folk musician.
No.
But I think that's why I was so drawn to folk music, again, in my adult life, is because I grew up with music being just an everyday part of life and something that you just did. And it was a very joyful communal kind of thing.
Yeah. And you said your grandfather was Dutch. Tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, Jan Muller. And he grew up in the Netherlands. He emigrated to America when he was 21.
Yeah.
And met my grandmother. So my mom, grew up here in Portland, actually. And he spent his whole life, his adult life really in America. But we traveled back to Holland several times when I was young. And he had a sister that lived in Amsterdam until she died. And so I grew up, being very connected to the Netherlands and specifically to Amsterdam. So when I went back, it felt very much like, coming home to one of my homes in a strange kind of way.
Yeah. Speaking of the Netherlands, the lovely Sophie Anna is there with us tonight. Hi, Sophie. Lovely to hear both your voices, she says. And lovely to see you. Lovely that you're tuned in, Sophie. You were saying earlier, and of course, Sophie, I said it to you, but congratulations on your baby, Sophie. I know you were saying you didn't meet her. You didn't meet the baby yet.
No.
But you will.
It's it's why I have to get to the Netherlands. It's not about playing music. It's that I have to meet this baby.
Yes, I know.
Before he's a grown child.
Absolutely. My friend Gies is also saying that he's not used to a silent Rua, so that's a little dig at me. Thank you very much, Gies. Absolutely. And Katja is delighted. That's a fiddle player at last, she says. Yeah. She loves the fiddle players, indeed she does. Lots of great people tuned in tonight, folks, and we appreciate it very much. But speaking of the Netherlands, then tell us about how it came about, that it came to be that you met Sophie and Margot and ended up doing gigs with the Lasses.
Yeah, it was
brilliant band from Holland. Yeah,
it was such a magical way that it ended up being, and I had been doing a musical project that had going and touring in the UK.
Yeah.
And that whole tour had fallen through, and we had booked one show at Mulligan's Irish Pub. And because I really wanted to go back to Amsterdam, we were that close. And so when that whole project ended up not happening and that tour ended up not happening, I decided to still go to the Netherlands and to keep that gig. And so, I wrote and said, like, I'll be coming, but I'm coming solo. And I don't know if there's any chance that I could do a show with another local group or whatever. And Miriam connected me with the Lasses, and we met at the, singing in that Wednesday night. That's where I first really met them at the session. And it was just such an instant connection. I felt like, I felt like, oh, these are like my musical siblings in a way. And it was so beautiful. But I think often back to it because after meeting each other, it developed into this incredible project. We toured in the US, we toured in Europe, we went to Japan together. There was so much. Right. We made a live album. There was so much that happened from that moment. And it's one of those things in life, it gives me chills even to remember it, that, it would have been so easy to cancel that show. And probably I'm like, why am I going to Amsterdam when this tour is off? But it ended up being like one of the most amazing connections in my life, really.
Wow. Yeah. That's I didn't know that at all now, but that's an amazing story. Of course, I don't have it here, but I will root it out. Or maybe Sophie, if you send me the Lasses website, I'll put it up on screen there for people that can check out the Lasses as well. I know everybody who wants to find out about you can go to your .com. That's the one-stop shop for Kathryn Claire anyway. And if you're watching on Facebook, folks, give her page a like there as well while you're at it. Kathryn Claire Music. So that's really cool. Thanks, Sophie, as well. She's going to send on that to me, so we'll do that. But look, we've loads to get through and loads to talk about. We'll go into a song.
Okay.
And we'll start with Traveling Dreams.
Oh,
I think
great.
that's a beautiful song. Tell us a little bit about Traveling Dreams, if you would.
Yes, I will. This was definitely a song born of this time. I was listening to this podcast in May 2020, and at that point I was watching tour after tour starting to get canceled. It was so interesting at the beginning of the pandemic because I remember really thinking like, wow, I'm going to have to call off my tour in California in May, but I'll probably be back to, I'll be able to do the European tour in the fall. And I was planning to go to Japan, like there were all of these things. And
Yeah.
it was such a weird kind of like those first 2 months where everyone thought, well, maybe we're almost going to be through this.
We might be out of it, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I heard this podcast with Rick Steves, this interview, and it was so beautiful. And he talked about, they were asking him like, how is it for you, this travel guru, like not traveling? And he told this, stories of what the time had been like for him, but also that he, really encouraged everyone to not give up on dreaming about travel, that we had to continue to dream about places that we wanted to go. And that this was a time to remember, it makes me tear up a little bit, to remember, all of the places that we have gone. And then at the end of the interview, he asked him to describe his favorite memory. And he just vividly described this meal he had on this farm in Tuscany. And I was like sobbing by the end of it.
Wow.
Just feeling the sadness and also the hope. And so I literally sat down and just started. And the first line is the voice of the man on the end of the line. And that's, the voice of Rick Steves. And so I ended up sending him this track and getting to be in touch with him just a little bit. And he used it in this beautiful video montage that they released at the end of last summer. So It was a really cool song in that way.
It's beautiful. I notice you don't have your Gibson guitar there with you. What is that beautiful guitar you're playing in this?
Yes, that's a Michael Propsom guitar, and it's built here in Washington, but about 20 minutes away in Vancouver, Washington. And that was a custom built guitar that I was built for me in 2010. And it's
look at you.
Beautiful.
Look at you. It's beautiful. Yeah, it sounds awesome. It does. Okay, well, we're going to play the first song from Kathryn Claire. It's called Traveling Dreams. We'll be back after this, folks, with lots more chat with the lovely Kathryn Claire. Enjoy this song and see you in a moment.
Voice of the man on the end of the line says, I'll tell you of a table filled with fresh bread and red wine, cured meats and cheeses, rich soil and sea breezes, and a family gathered around. Close your eyes and imagine the sound. Laughter and stories in an unfamiliar tongue. I can't speak many words, but it doesn't stop anyone from sharing these moments under a tree on a small farm outside Tuscany. If I had one wish, that's where I'd like to be. Memories written down in these books, stories of travel and how the world looks on the other side. Eyes open wide, life's a wonder and never quite as it seems. So don't give up your traveling dreams. Paris in the spring, singing songs in Amsterdam, boarding a fast train bound for northern Japan, dinner in Bologna, morning coffee in Cologne, temples and towers of ancient stone. I close my eyes and I'm far, far from home. And the voice of the man says now is the time to go back to those places, even if they're only in your mind. Remember adventure, plan for something new. We can't go now, but there's plenty to do. And the dreams are what will see us through. Memories written down in these books, stories of travel and how the world looks from the other side. Eyes open wide, life's a wonder and never quite as it seems. So don't give up, you're traveling. You're traveling, don't give up, you're traveling dreams.
Wow. That's gorgeous. That's gorgeous.
Thanks.
Really. And you never give up your traveling dreams. You're still traveling even around America. And I know you've traveled out here. That's what were you doing prior to this lockdown stuff? Some of the musicians I spoke to, they were saying that some of them kind of really buried themselves in the music business even deeper. Some of them just, we spoke about this before, where for the first time in our lives, we've had to take a step back from the grind of the tour and the promotion and the organization. And how did it affect you, with work and mentally even? What happened? Did you get into it, or did you take the hands off and go step back a bit, or a bit of both? Or
I think it was a bit of both. To be honest, the leading up to the lockdown, I had just released a new album, and I had done a tour. That's when I got to see you in the Netherlands with my trio. Yep. I had gone and done a tour in Japan with a full band of Japanese musicians supporting the album, and then I did my big album release here in Portland, Oregon, February 8th, 2020, and toured in the Northwest until the very end of February. Okay. So I really was on this, I was just in that push.
But you got a few in before it kind of closed. Luckily.
I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that I got to do all of that in 2019. And I had actually set this intention of that year being a year for me to really focus all of my energy into that album and into my own music, my original music. And so I'm grateful that I did that at the time. And I know we talked about this a little bit, but there was something, in a way, there was this kind of relief to have a moment to just pause and this forced sort of break in all of it and in that push. And as incredible and exciting as touring is, and, as much of an adventure, and, from the outside, I think a lot of people can look at it and just be like, wow, that sounds so fun. And that's so dreamy. And it is. And it's a lot of work, and it's hard to be away from home, and it's hard to not sleep in your bed, and you get really tired, and it's hard to be social and be basically the life of a party almost every night of the week. That's what touring is. And so I was starting to I was feeling tired by the end of that big push. And so in some ways, yeah, I got really into baking, like probably the rest of the world. I think everybody started.
I almost started baking. Yeah.
There were these funny things. I got really into walking. I mean, I walked so much in 2020. I just walked a lot, and
Yeah.
but walked in my city. And actually, it was my first year getting to experience every single season in Portland, because
Oh well, yeah.
I was always in the
Yeah.
Netherlands in the fall, and I was often in Japan in the winter, and like it was really cool in some of those ways. And I think having a chance to also not push, and like the whole promotion part of it, and to just be like,
the hardest part, really.
I got off of social media for many months, and it was a huge reset for me. I needed that.
Okay, good. Yeah. A lot of other musicians did too. I think it's, as you said, even though you got to take the blows and the financial hit, but for the head and for the heart, sometimes it's good. You get this kind of a reboot or reset, which I think a lot of musicians and songwriters and touring songwriters were grateful for at the time.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to ask you about that. A couple of comments there on that last song. Katja, thanks. Says beautiful. Thank you, Katja. Chris Eagle-eyed Chris Link in Germany spotted that beautiful Nashville Telecaster behind you on the wall behind you during that as well. Thanks for that, Chris. And Stephen, another nice comment there from Stephen as well. Sophie, thank you, Sophie, for sending on the Lassies website there. If anybody's interested in the Lasses, sorry, I keep saying the Lasses.nl, folks, will give you the Kathryn Claire Dutch connection there if anyone is interested. A wonderful trio. They're a wonderful duo, but when they get together, the three girls played my festival in Ghent and a couple of years ago now, and wow, yeah, you blew us away with your songs and your tunes and your great show. It was absolutely cool. What was your first impression of seeing? I know you played in your trio came in, and we'll have the song we're going to play next is Everyone Goes. When you came into the first RWR room that I had over in Ghent, you were saying you were a bit amused by the whole setup. I was sleeping in the same room. It was just my flat. I have a separate room now. I'm in luxury. But what were your first impressions of meeting me in Ghent and seeing the RWR room for the first time? Were you shocked?
Well, it was such a highlight for me of that tour, and the whole, all of us that were, the whole trio, we talked about it for days afterwards because, and I think what struck me, first of all, where that apartment was and where the RWR room was just like in the heart of Ghent. So it's just like surrounded by, all of this beauty and this gorgeous church. And so I think just walking up to it, and then this little space. And when I realized, like, you're making us tea and coffee in your little kitchen, and then there's this beautiful studio. I'd been watching the videos coming out of the RWR room prior to coming, right? So in my mind, it was just like a studio. And
it was a separate thing. Yes.
Oh my God, he lives here.
Yeah.
And I remember you had like all this gear like on the bed, and I was like,
strewn, yeah.
Oh, you sleep here too. Like, this is your home.
Yeah.
And to me, I just thought it was so cool because it also is sort of, it's a part of a dream. I just love that idea of sort of living and breathing your work, and that it's just sort of all right there, and that you can create incredible content, in a very, very small space. And I love that too.
Well, of course, that's down to the fantastic musicians that I was honored. As you said, living in Ghent, I've been able to kind of watch who's touring as well in places like Café de Loge or anybody coming through Ghent. I was able to kind of go, you don't know me, but I have this little small channel. Would you come in and sing a song? And so it was wonderful not only to kind of handpick the local guys and gals from the scene. Yeah. And Ghent is like the mecca for songwriting talent at the moment. But to keep an eye on who's maybe coming through Ghent City or Brussels or somewhere close by that there might be might convince them to come down. And I was so happy when you guys came down to play in the room. I'm just trying to figure out if I have it here. I do have it here. Yes, won't play it yet.
Okay.
But just talk to me through your wingmen there
Yes.
in the band.
Oh, it's so great to see them both there.
Yeah. They had a good laugh. They had a great
My
laugh.
tall wingmen on either side of me.
Yeah.
It's so great. Yeah, so that's Sid Ditson on the violin and Alan Hunter on the bass. And yeah, we played together for several years, and Sid and I actually played in an Irish punk band years and years ago.
Did you really?
Yeah,
Wow.
two fiddles, and so we have a long history in sort of traditional fiddle music and Irish music. And Alan and I have also played. In fact, we toured a couple times just as a duo. And Alan Hunter is an incredible bass player and human.
So blessed with those two musicians. They're absolutely stunning. I've heard them both in action with you, and absolutely were. Will you tell us a bit about the song?
Yeah,
wouldn't mind.
Absolutely. This is such a funny song because it ended up taking on such a deep sort of resonance for me the more I grew up after writing it, in a way. But the impetus for the song, I actually wrote this song. I was in a very weird, I was in a time in my life where there was a lot of drama and angst, and I like this person and blah, blah, blah. Like, it was just this crazy drama time of my life.
Right.
And so it came from a place of an end of the night at a show, and all these people who all have all these feelings around each other. Everyone ended up going home by themselves. Nobody went home with anybody else.
Yeah.
For all of that drama, everyone went home
After all
alone.
the drama, everyone went home alone. Okay.
And I thought that was so funny. And so I was like, it was one of those songs, this happens sometimes in writing where it's it's downloading to you as I was riding my bicycle home.
Yeah.
And I think I wrote the first verse with a lip liner that was in my purse, on a scrap of paper. It was, but as I developed the song, and as the song, as I grew up and away from that sentiment of going home alone actually took on a lot of different meaning. I lost people that I loved, and sort of it has that feeling of sort of the end of life and going home alone in that way, but also in this time of just being alone in our homes, and this pandemic time, it had a totally different meaning. So I love that about songs, because sometimes you write an angsty song that ends up taking on totally new meaning.
Indeed,
10 years later,
Yeah, the metaphor changes and stuff goes on. But I think at this stage, this was the first time I said, there's no way I'm going to fit through. As you said, you had this idea that this was a big separate studio, and this is literally the corner of my flat, right? I said, she wants to do it in a trio. I've never had a trio in the room. What am I going to do? So poor Alan Hunter was almost sitting in the windowsill on top of the guitars, playing his bass to give you space and trying to get everybody in frame. It was so funny.
I know.
With the song's amazing. I'm going to give it a spin.
Okay.
We'll see you in a few minutes.
Okay, bye.
We'll chat some more. Okay, cool. So song number 2 tonight, folks, from the great Kathryn Claire. Here she is in her wonderful trio. And Everyone Goes from the RWR Room, Part 1.
Everyone is crying. If you're not crying, then you're crying inside. Bottomless emptiness from which I cannot hide. Butterflies and worn out lights around my head. Daredevils take their turns with the words and the tears we've shed. Everyone goes. Everyone goes home alone. Walk her to the water, take her to the edge and let her fall. You may try to turn around, in the end you hear a call. I am far from your faces, far from the end of this tattered road. Pulling a little harder on the hands of hope. Everyone goes. Everyone goes. Everyone goes. Everyone goes home alone, alone, all alone, alone.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. Everyone goes. Yeah, I remember the day very well.
Oh, me
what
too.
what is she thinking about this setup? All these brilliant musicians in the room.
Oh my
It
gosh.
was great though.
I feel so emotional on this whole live stream in such a good way, but I just like, gosh, getting to see that and remembering our time together and
Bringing back the memories.
so many. It's so
was
great.
it Cafe de Loggia that you played, or were about to play? I think it
Yeah,
was.
yeah. We played there several times. I love them there.
Yeah, Mika and
Yes.
Yoss are fantastic.
Yeah, they're so great.
So did you actually? You said you actually started off as a folk musician, with the Irish tunes, and was fiddle your first instrument, and then, or how did it go for you?
Yeah, violin was my first instrument, and I played classical music, all the way through till I was about 15. And when I was 15, our family moved to Japan, and my parents were teachers, and they taught in Japan for 2 years. So I lived in Japan in a really formative time of my life, and I stopped playing violin then, and I started playing the guitar. I had my first boyfriend, and this was in the mid 90s. So he was really into Kurt Cobain and Nirvana, and he played guitar, and he played all the Nirvana songs. And so I just taught myself to play the guitar when I was 15 or 16. And that was really the beginning of songwriting for me. And it wasn't until later, in my early 20s, I came back to the instrument, and I started playing fiddle tunes, Irish fiddle tunes, American fiddle tunes, and also, improvising with people. When I was at college, people would sit around in their dorms and songwriters would play. And I loved just playing with songwriters, So
and that kind of drew you in.
Yeah. But the songwriting is really, I think, my first, my first personal creative musical expression, I think, is songwriting.
Yeah. What's the process like for you? Do you are you very much take notes and see what happens later, or do you need to sit down and see what comes at the moment, or how does the writing process go for you? Is it varied?
It's so varied. Yeah. When I was young, when I first started writing, I wrote a lot, in my late teens and early 20s. And they would just come through in these just long sort of stream of consciousness. And I did not edit because I didn't know that you could edit.
Okay.
So they were very very personal, very much sometimes they're cringy to listen to because it sounds like you're reading my journal.
If I've written it, it has to stay there. Is that it?
And then over time, sometimes, like I said, sometimes songs come I have a handful of songs that have come, and I call them gift songs, and they like literally come through me, and I almost feel like I just have to write them down. Like they're almost done. You're sort of channeling something.
Yeah.
But more now, and really I think through that time of traveling and touring a lot, I use my phone. I'm picking up little bits and pieces. I write bits and pieces, and then it's a process of like tinkering on things. And I work and tinker at songs a lot more now. And I don't know if that's just because, yeah, I think my lifestyle has changed, but I also think I've learned that process of editing too is really important.
Yeah, the craft, I suppose. If you could develop the craft, I suppose that's what it is. It's all
Yeah.
about the edit. Yeah, isn't it? Well, you know now, of course, it's all about the edit.
I know.
And are there songs like from the old days that you still have in your repertoire now that, you know, those what you would class as kind of your cringy songs where you've written them and you haven't touched them, or have you gone back to those old songs and reworked them? Or
here's the interesting thing, and I know you're going to play New York City Love Song.
Yeah, that's next. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So this is a great segue then.
Brilliant.
Because so I've started a Patreon community this last year, and what I decided to do on Patreon is to release my very first album that I put out in 2001 was my first album, and it's not digital. I made a 200, 300 copies and they're gone. So I actually haven't listened to that album probably in 20 years. And so it's 20 years old this year. And I decided, you know what, I'm going to release that album track by track to a small community of people that I love and trust. And it's been the most amazing experience for me. I just released track 5 this week. And oh my gosh, there are some that I'm just like, oh, for the love. Did I really put this out in the world now?
Did I really put that out? I know the feeling.
But I mean, they're just so like, but I've also been trying to look at each track as if I was the producer producing 20-year-old Kathryn Claire's album now, so I've really tried to go back to songs. I've reworked them. And the New York City Love Song is actually the first track on the album. It's a song I love. I had sort of forgotten about it, and I reworked it. I slowed it down a lot. I play a lot of my stuff so fast on that first album. And so I slowed stuff down. And so, I'm actually like, and there's a couple songs that I've looked at where I'm like, oh my gosh, I do not like this song, but I love the chorus. So I'm going to keep that. And I think I'm going to write a new song based around the chorus. And
good.
Yeah, so it's been really fun, but oh my goodness, some real cringe moments.
Some really cringe moments.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Sitter and stuff. Tony in Amsterdam, just in late there, but nice to see you, Tony.
Hi,
and
Tony.
Thank you for joining us. Great to see
you.
You can. This will be up, maybe not tonight because of the messing at the beginning. I have a bit of editing to do, but it'll be up soon to rewatch anyway. Tony, so you won't miss it. So I was gonna we're gonna add this to the stream and hopefully all going to plan. Is that the Nashville Telly you're playing now?
That is, yeah.
It is.
And
I meant to ask you about that beautiful Gibson that was in the old video. You told me it's an old Gibson, is it? The one you played in the last video.
Yeah,
Do you have any history about that?
Yeah, it's a 1967 LGO, and it's just a beautiful. I bought it here in Portland about 12 years ago, and it's it's such a beautiful little guitar.
It is.
Yeah, it has such a sweet sound.
And where is it now, Kathryn? Tell the world where it is now.
Oh, God.
I want to hear you say it.
So it's actually in the Netherlands with my dear friends at their house. They're so sweet to let me keep it there. But
so you hope.
Yeah, exactly. I hope it's still there. We had intended to come back about 6 months after we had been there, and so I thought I'll just leave my guitar. It's so much safer. Little did I know that it would be now going on 2 years now since I played it.
So hopefully the guitar is still there in the case and being looked after and minded, because
I know
you have to get your hands back on that again. I know.
Absolutely.
But of course you have that beautiful custom
I do.
as well,
I'm not without a nice guitar, but I do miss that one. I do.
Yeah, absolutely. So did we talk about the song already?
Oh yeah. No, we didn't talk about the song. It's an old
not
song.
This one, yeah.
Yeah, and I wrote this. I lived in Boston when my first year of college, and I I had a breakup with a boyfriend that, yeah, this is sort of a love song, but I love it. It's such a sweet sentiment. And I went back and forth from Boston to New York a lot that year. I ended up living in New York a couple years later, but this was a really early song. So I think I probably wrote this when I was 19, I think. Yeah.
Fantastic.
I was little.
And people can find your Patreon through your .com.
Website.
The website is the one-stop shop.
It is.
Grant.
Yeah, come and
they can
join me.
support you there. Yeah, come and join
Come
me.
and cringe with me.
Come and cringe. Hear all Kathryn's early teenage year songs.
Yeah.
The cringe-worthy ones that she's been working. But that's very brave of you to put them out. It really is.
Oh, well, I'm grateful for my community there. They've been so kind and supportive. And it's a good place to first release stuff too.
Oh, absolutely. Well, they'll find you there, KathrynClairemusic.com. And this is New York City. New York City Love Song is the full title of it. And enjoy this, folks. It's gorgeous. And we'll see Kathryn in a few minutes.
Thanks.
I am getting used to cities in the early morning hours. I haven't slept before sunrise in 3 days' time. And you didn't have to call me, 'cause my bags are packed already. You didn't have to ask me as though needing me was a crime, 'cause I've got a ticket to New York City at 9:30. And the woman who sits ahead of me is painting on her makeup. The man who sits next to me is whispering on the phone. And as we are leaving Boston and we pull out on the highway, I realize I hold a ticket to a place filled with unknowns. Will you know me when you see me? Will you look at me that way? It says I'm sorry, I wish there was something I could say. We are leaving New Jersey. On my right I see the city, and I close my eyes, pray for a miracle this time. As I enter the Port Authority, I feel like I am drowning, and I swim past the people, hoping you will throw me a line. There you stand, just like a statue, so separate and alone. I wish that we were somewhere else. I wish that we were home. You say welcome to New York, baby. Already I'm thinking maybe I should just turn around and go. Turn around and go. But instead you take me to see the paintings. We analyze their colors. Pretend that we're a couple, spending the day at the Met. And beneath the trees in Central Park, we finally look at each other. You say, I gotta tell you something. Well, don't tell me yet, 'cause I wanna keep pretending that we haven't hit the end. I'm not ready to hear you say we're just friends. And off in the distance a melancholy soundtrack to a love story that isn't there. Although I cannot see it, I know the Empire State is somewhere. I laugh though I am crying, we'll remember this affair. But it's not like movies, you can't play a scene again. I guess New York is where our ending begins. I guess New York is where our ending begins.
The cute little wave at the end and everything. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye. Nice knowing you. I guess New York is where our ending begins. It's a nice line. It's a very nice line.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, it
Thanks.
is a very nice line. Have you co-written much in your career, or is that something that you shy away from, or how do you feel about it? Some people love it, some people hate it.
Yeah, I haven't done a ton. I did the last season, I did a song called Spring Is Here that we all wrote together, which was a really fun process. And I did some writing in a band that I played with that was kind of based partially out of Portland and partially out of Japan. And I did a lot of lyric writing with another songwriter, Casey Neal. And that was cool. I like it. I just haven't done a ton of it.
Yeah.
But I guess I do a lot of songwriting with kids. I've done that for years, and in a weird way, you're sort of co-writing with them. It's I love to work with people, and I've done songwriting workshops with adults too, and
sure.
I think it's really cool to sort of collaborate, and definitely getting people's insight on your lyrics is so helpful. So yeah.
Back in the teenage years, then, when songwriting started sort of first to happen for you, you were coming out of that folk scene and such, not coming out of it, but you were developing into this great songwriter. Who were some of the early influences that you were listening to back then that kind of, were you drawing inspiration from anyone or any kind of anybody in particular, or was there a few people, I guess?
Yeah, every interview I've ever had doesn't matter what genre I'm talking about. Probably my greatest musical and vocal and songwriting influence is Joni Mitchell.
Mm-hmm.
And I grew up listening to a lot of her, and my parents, I listened to a lot of Joan Baez and Joni Mitchell in particular. But also Paul Simon is a huge influence. I listened to a lot of Simon and Garfunkel when I was young, and he's one of my favorite songwriters, I would say.
Oh yeah, but you can't go wrong with that batch there. And was that the kind of music that was being played in your house? Were your mother and father exposing you to this as well as at a young age? What was
kind of? My dad loves folk music. I listen to a lot of jazz too, a lot of vocal jazz. So all those old jazz standards, we listened to a lot of that. And then my mom was really into classical music. So, I had kind of a combo of things, but my dad really loved singer-songwriter and folk music. And John McCutcheon is a really great songwriter here in the US that he listened to a lot. And,
it's brilliant that you got exposed to all that great music anyway.
I'm grateful.
Yeah, absolutely. Will you be out this neck of the woods in the next year, hopefully, or is that the plan?
I definitely hope to get, out to play again in the fall, barring anything else. But, I'm kind of seeing the rest of this year. I'm working in a school currently and doing music with kids, and I love it. But, I think just with the way that things are at the moment, I'm just taking a little more time. I know you and I were talking about that too.
Yeah, which is a good thing.
Yeah, taking time. And so I hope to be out next year in the fall, or.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Hope
would be
so.
my dream.
It'd be fantastic.
I know.
And do you think that'll be solo with the guys, with your hubby, or will it be? Who knows?
No, I think it would be. It's hard to say, where everything will be at that point.
That's
I'd
true.
love to tour again with the trio. It's really, I love the trio because I can also do a lot of the fiddle stuff, and but I also want to sing with the lasses again, and
Yeah,
so we'll just have to see sort of what's cooking at that time.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And it was the ukulele. Where did that come into the picture for you? Is that a very recent
Yeah.
thing, or is something you've been?
Yeah, no, that's my COVID. That's my COVID instrument.
This is a COVID
That's my
instrument.
pandemic.
Lovely.
Yeah, and it's been so fun. And then I've been teaching kids ukulele, but also I have a couple. I've taught a couple adults, and I just love the instrument. It's such a quick, guitars, as you know, because you're a guitar player. Guitars, it takes a little more work to get to play and to feel comfortable really accompanying yourself. And ukulele is just I feel like it's just a fun and sweet sound, and it's a little bit easier to get those 4 chords under your fingers and be able to play a bunch of songs, so
absolutely.
But I also, it's good for me just to learn new chords and wrap my head around that and a new instrument, and then to write on different instruments, even though, it's similar idea to guitar, but it really kind of opened me up. So some of the songs I've written on ukulele, I really feel like I wouldn't have written them if I didn't play that instrument.
Yeah, because you're dealing with a new sound. You said new tone and new chords. It's inspiring.
Yeah,
very
it's
much
super
so.
inspiring.
Yeah, very much so. So people can get if they want, where can people get your music? I mean, your physical discs, you have digital stuff going on. Of course, you have your Patreon.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
The .com, I suppose.
The .com, yeah. And then I've actually been really working on sort of creating my YouTube channel as a place that people can find me too. So definitely check that out and subscribe to that. It's I've been doing a kind of a lot of different stuff, songs, and I'm going to be doing just like a very basic, like learn how to play these 4 chords on the ukulele. I'm just trying different things.
Yeah.
I'm going to do some fiddle stuff and violin. And it's just a fun place for me to kind of share a lot of different things that I'm interested in and a lot of stuff that I've taught over the years. It's a nice place to share that. So, and then my website is really the best place to go. All that stuff.
Yeah. And are you writing anything else at the moment? Are you thinking about recording something new, or is that for later?
Yeah, no, I'm always writing. And I think right now, a lot of what I've been writing and what I'm hearing is a more stripped down. So my last album was beautiful, like big. I had, a 5-piece band on that and a lot of string orchestration, a lot of string parts that I built. And I loved making that record. But I actually am like feeling more inclined back towards more of that folky singer-songwriter stripped down, maybe just Sid and I, or, another voice, or just a upright bass. It's like, I'm just hearing more of that acoustic sound in what I'm writing at the moment. I'm like,
so it could go that way. It could go back to big production. Yeah, I know. See how it goes.
Yeah.
Is the scene coming back a little bit in Baltimore right now, or is it beginning to open up again, or?
Yeah, here in Portland. Yeah, it's definitely.
Well, I say Baltimore.
Yeah, Portland. I know. I was like,
Portland, Oregon.
I don't know what's going on in Baltimore. I hope so.
Why did I say? Okay.
I don't know. That's okay. But yeah,
wherever you're from.
No, it's starting, but it's slow, and the venues are very good about vaccination, proof of vaccination, that kind of stuff. But it starts and then it sort of pulls back, and that's I think I've heard that's a similar thing over there, that there'll be sort of things opened up a lot more this summer, and then we sort of rolled things back, and so yeah.
Well, look at this hour has gone very fast.
Oh my gosh!
I know.
I could talk to you all day. This is so
likewise.
fun.
I know. It was brilliant having you on the program.
Oh, thank you,
Kathryn. Really has been a joy having a laugh with you and hearing about the serious stuff as well, and all the good things happening for you over in Portland,
In
Oregon.
Portland.
Not the other place I mentioned earlier. Speaking of ukulele, tell me about this last song we're going to play for the folks. It's called Weimi Down.
Yes,
Lovely ukulele track. Yeah.
Yeah, I wrote this song on the ukulele, and this was also I just wrote it this last year. And just inspired by, having I think part of this time of this pandemic time, and like you and I talked about being more internal, I just got a chance to sort of look at some things inside of myself too, and sort of let go of some stuff and learn some new things about myself. And it's been a beautiful year in that way. And so this song really was my attempt to sort of talk and share about that process of letting go of these things that weigh us down, and finally getting to a place where you have some time to be like, I'm ready to let go of that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hold on to that anymore.
Sounds great.
It's hard.
It's
really hard. Sometimes I'm like, I can't let go.
Let it go.
Yeah.
It was
anyway.
lovely to have you here,
Thank
Kathryn.
you. And thanks everybody that is on, and so great to see all the messages. Oh my gosh. Thanks everyone.
It was so sweet. And of course, you're very welcome. People can watch this on the tube later on when I edit out the messing at the beginning. My bad. As the Americans would say, my bad.
My bad.
So I gotta clean up my mess at the beginning. My bad. Talking to myself with a muted microphone on. But anyway, That's how it goes. It's live. Anything can happen. We're going to play the last song. Kathryn, if you want to hang on backstage, we'll have a natter after the gig if you have time.
Great.
Thanks very, very much for being here.
Thank you so much.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye. There you go, folks. The beautiful and talented Kathryn Claire, and lovely to have her on the show. Thank you all very, very much for all the lovely comments and all the chat that we had going on there. Everybody who tuned in and everybody who's watching this at a later time, please feel free to share it. Please hit that subscribe button on the YouTube channel if you haven't done so already, and give the video a thumbs up. Plenty more comments can be left after we're done here for Kathryn or myself. Thanks so much to the great Kathryn Claire for taking the time out here on this Sunday, 24th of October, to talk to us tonight on Raving with Rua, episode 91. And we'll be back soon with number 92. And we're going to go to 100 anyway and see how we go from there. I am back with the Red Air streams on Wednesday night, and that is with Ed the Small, great Belgian singer-songwriter, bluesy, country, folky man. Brilliant. Check that out. 8 o'clock. The Red Air streams, all those Red Air streams are on the channel. You'll find them all on the associated playlists. And without further ado, I'm going to play this great song. There she is. Bye, Kathryn. Give her a wave there in the background. Take care of yourselves, folks. See you next time.
If I tell you everything I fear, you'll turn away. The light of day is darkest when you're living in the fray. I've gotta get out and set this free. Holding it takes a toll on me. Wanna talk about the ways I was wrong, and the song wells up inside. I can't run, don't wanna hide, so instead I'll turn around and listen in. Every sin I held in shame, every soul I sought to blame, let them fly away on wings. Those heavy things won't weigh me down, won't weigh me down. In the race of knowing where I stand, I fall behind, and I find I can't run, don't wanna hide. So instead I'll turn around and listen in. Every sin I held in shame, every soul I sought to blame, let them fly away on wings, those heavy things won't weigh